Welcome to Jags Drive Time with Ashlyn Sullivan, John Oehser, and Brian Sexton. Jags Drive Time starts right now.
Welcome in Jaguars Drive Time. It is Wednesday morning, our first show of the week, coming off a game in California where we were flying on a red-eye Monday morning. So we are starting this week on a Wednesday, and there are 5 games left in this season, and that seems quite long at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And John and I have done this long enough, and you had the taste of it in 2017, that when you're winning, 5 games seems like nothing left, right? I mean, when you're in the thick of it, man, every week just flies by. But we've gotten accustomed, unfortunately, lately to the 5 games seeming like a drag.
Yeah, and as Trevor Lawrence has, wise for a rookie, said multiple times, got to play him.
Yeah.
And they're not going to cancel him for you. So,
They're not. There's no magic
you
pill.
may as well play hard. You may as well prepare. I don't have any answers, Brian. I mean,
No.
if you're looking for answers, Schlin,
We're looking at you.
look somewhere else. But you got to play him, and we'll talk about it. So that's the show.
It seems like I catch myself. You get into the point of the season where you start writing and you start talking about, all right, it's time to play for the locker room and play for your team. And I caught myself this weekend writing for Jaguars Weekend, playing for the team. I was like, oh no, we're here. It's time.
Well, with this quarterback, the good news is that will end. It's just a matter of how much longer until it does end.
Yes, absolutely. Let's get into big things. Big thing one is descending when you should be ascending. None of us expected a winning record at this point of the season, but you did expect a football team that would be on the rise, and you felt good enough about that, staying competitive. Well, not so fast. That's not happening at this point of the season, and Coach Meyer has a big focus on how the locker room is responding to it.
I get asked, well, Coach, what about you? What about, don't worry about me. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for the people that do all the work. And that's players that go out there every day and bust their tail. You got receivers working their, what's off. Yeah, we've had some injuries, but we have good enough talent to go stretch the field. We just have to do it. And all of a sudden you're doing it, the quarterback gets hit. So and you'll hear that over and over and over again. Mike's heard it over and over again. When you have a great day, boy, Trevor was fantastic. The first thing I'll usually answer back, boy, the offensive line played well. Boy, their wideouts played well. Boy, Trevor's really struggling. Wait a minute. We all struggle.
Big
coaches
thing,
included.
too.
So we're all in this together.
Big thing, too, is what can you hang your hat on with this team? What is this team's identity? How often have we talked about that and asked that question? Great questions. Is there anything you're feeling good about with this team right now? It was the defense, but there are a lot of question marks around that right now.
Certainly it's an issue. It's defenses weren't made to be 3 and outs on the other side. The best defense is getting a nice 14-play drive. And that's an issue right now.
Big thing 3, it's going to require more than just a few receivers. If you would have asked us maybe 2 months ago, what does this team need? Okay, a couple more offensive weapons and you're good to go. Well, not anymore. They're going to need a mass amount of talent in free agency in the draft. They're going to have to spend a lot of money to dramatically improve this roster. And you want your young guys to start developing right now.
Yeah, I'd like to win some games. That's number one. And then certainly, Cisco got some playing time yesterday. Walker is a guy that played 1 game but played pretty well. We're not sacking a bat cell. We're going to go try to, if they can help us win a game, they're going to be in there.
And there you have it. That is big things wrapping up that loss to the Rams in California. And we go back to big thing 1. And I think that's kind of been the theme of this past month. As you looked back at the Colts game, you thought, all right, they're coming back, they're fighting, they're improving. That's stopped now. They're descending at this point in the season, and that's the exact opposite of what we wanted. We didn't have overly high expectations, but that was one expectation we thought they'd meet.
Well, the word that stands out is improvement, right? And we thought that the defense was something that had improved, and the run defense in particular had improved, and that would allow them, John, to play complementary football. But against the Niners, and then the Falcons, and then last week against the Rams, there was nothing that even resembled complementary football. The defense couldn't hold up in the second half. The offense couldn't come through with 3 and outs in the second quarter, and it all just sort of fell apart.
Well, I'm going to go a slightly different direction. I think at the beginning of the season, we talked about the run defense being improved. And it was improved. And if you guys recall, I talked a lot about, does it have the numbers to be sustainable? Once it got, you need 8 or 9 defensive linemen who can really stop the run. I thought maybe they had 3 or 4, and over time I think they've worn down a little bit because that's what happens. But the other thing, everybody's talking about the team has no identity and the team's not ascending. It was a shallow roster, and I think they were ascending right up until week 6. And I think when James Robinson got hurt and then the receivers went from to everything sort of dipped after that.
So it's a domino effect then.
It was a domino effect that now in the last 2 or 3 games seems to have affected the defense. I wrote in my quick thoughts on Sunday, that didn't seem like a defense that had quit the other day. It seemed like a defense that had given all it had to give. And then all of a sudden when you got the feeling that the offense wasn't going to get it done, everything went down. I'm not saying anything is positive. I don't know that there's that many pieces that need to be done, but I think they've got to get deeper and stouter. I don't think they never ascended this season. I think there are factors that made a weak team worse.
There were moments where you saw it, right? In Cincinnati, for most of that ball game, you felt good about where they were at. In Miami, not in Miami, in London against Miami, against the Bills here. Although the offense didn't show it that day.
And then Robinson got hurt, and there was the domino effect since then.
Okay, so I get the domino effect. It's just you should be able to identify something at this point about what this team can hang its hat on, and you can't. I mean, the quarterback for sure.
I think there are signs with the defense early on in that game before they got worn down. I think Urban's legitimate when he talks about you got him off the field 6 times on 3rd down. You were toe-to-toe with a pretty decent team. It didn't last, but I don't think the defense – I still think the defense has improved. Obviously, it's got to get a lot better, but I don't think the defense is tragic. I think the defense has shown some things that it can build around. I think you've got to get much better on the interior of this defensive line still.
Yeah, and I think you're looking at this defense, and you mentioned getting them off the field on 6 third downs, and you wonder if the offense just scores more points and the defense has some momentum and something to work with. We're not talking about it being a worrisome point in this team. I know everyone says, you see it on Twitter, like, oh, well, the defense should just do their job. Like, no matter what the offense is doing, do it. It's a lot to ask. They're on the field the entire game.
I mean, in the first 7 drives of that game, in the first 7 drives of that game, they went 3 and out or less 6 times. And Urban talked about, I think, Sunday and Monday. They were winning field position. The field was tilted toward them, and they never scored any points. If you're a defensive player after that for a while, if you're a special teams guy, you're walking off going, well, all right, whatever. I mean, and you know, you're not saying that, but you're feeling that of, I don't think anything we're going to do is going to be able to get done. And then in the NFL, in this day and age, you've got to score. The Rams scored basically, 27 points that the Jaguars didn't give them. In the NFL these days, teams score 30 and win that game. This team can't do that. So I think the defense is still a piece that can be a foundation.
Yeah, totally agree. You're left with what are you supposed to do at this point? And that is big things when we come back. Some this or that on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Jags Drive Time is presented in part by Dreamfinders Homes, homes that fit your lifestyle, and Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
At VyStar Credit Union, you inspire us to deliver on our promise, to do good for our members and our communities. That's why we offer more banking options, like better rates and no hidden fees. We also give back, donating several $1 million to hundreds of nonprofits each year. Better financial lives, stronger communities. VyStar Credit Union. Do good. Bank better. Visit VyStarCU.org/join. Insured by NCUA.
This season, Make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink for football watching. Just look for 20-ounce Pepsi products in the cooler door at your local Gate convenience store and see how you could win an exclusive VIP experience at the Jacksonville Zoo and an opportunity to eat lunch with a Jaguars player. Eat with a big cat. Courtesy of Pepsi and Gate. No purchase necessary. Visit jaguars.com/zoo for official rules and details. Ends 12/31/21.
Price.com is the easiest way to save money with comparison shopping, cashback, coupons, all in one. It's free. Try Price.com today. We're back, Jaguars Drive Time. It is Wednesday. It is time for some of this or that presented by Price.com. And we have 3 this week. I think we all have 3.
I went to a different level on this one.
You always do, bro.
Yeah.
You always do.
Which division right now is the toughest? Watching the Patriots on Monday night. So you've got the NFC West with Arizona, Los Angeles, you guys, we saw that firsthand, and then San Francisco. You've got the NFC or the AFC East with New England, Buffalo, and Miami. Miami's surging all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. And then out west in the AFC, you've got Kansas City, San Diego won on the road, Los Angeles lost, but looked like they can be a factor in this thing. Those are 3 really good divisions.
They are. And Miami came out of nowhere. My gosh. After that London game, and they have a completely different team. Yeah.
Well, I covered the Jags, so the AFC South looks awful tough to me. I mean, I think the AFC North is the best division in football still. Okay. I mean, it's one you didn't include, but you talk about the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers. Everybody thought the Steelers were done. The Steelers beat the Ravens, who everybody thinks is going to the playoffs. I don't think the Super Bowl winner comes out of that. But there's a lot of divisions where if you're 4-7, you're still sort of in it, at least in the playoffs. But
Seattle out west is technically
right.
Yeah.
I would say the Cardinals and the Rams form, to me, along with in the other conference, the Patriots and the Bills. Those are the best twosomes in each conference. Yeah. But the AFC North's tough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you look at the AFC South, I feel like very few divisions have this divide that we're seeing right now with the AFC South, where it's Texans and Jags, and then the Colts and the Titans are so far away. Just this divide that is pretty adamant.
Yeah, and the Colts are coming. I see the Colts right now. I don't think they're going to win the division, but right now they're starting to look like a team. Remember, they're doing this with a guy who just got there in Carson Wentz, who's still young. I don't know if he's going to be great, but I think he's okay. To me, you're talking about a team that will probably be a wild card team this year, and then to me be the clear division favorite next year because they're playing really well right now.
And John, what do you got for your this or that?
My this or that is, do we have a graphic? Because I can't remember.
We do, just for you.
Oh, I had 3. I'm a 3 guy. The biggest loss of the season was DJ Chark or James Robinson. And I'm going to consider him a loss because since week 6, he's not been the same guy, or Dan Arnold. And I kind of threw the Dan Arnold because I wanted to do 3 because I'm in that kind of mood this week.
Just wanted to be that guy.
Because I don't think Dan was the biggest loss, but he hurt. This is hard because the defense, the offense and the team has been a dramatically different team since James Robinson ran off the field in Seattle, got hurt. Their offense has gone from 19.3 a game, which is just okay in this league, to 10 a game. But I still think right now the loss of DJ Chark and that element is more crippling right now than the loss of James Robinson. I don't love the answer, but it feels like that when I'm watching the game sometimes.
Well, to me, it was Chark. Because if you've got Chark outside, then all of a sudden Marvin Jones doesn't have to be the one.
Right.
And Laviska Shenault can be the 3. He can
a lot of domino effects.
Yeah. Since we're talking about them today, I think if you have DJ Chark on the field, it changes the complexity of the receiving core to a degree that it's tough to quantify right now. Mm-hmm. I just have this feeling that if he were on the field, not that DJ was going to catch 12 touchdown passes this season, but the threat. That's the thing, the threat. And I don't see a threat on the field. Mm-hmm. And I think DJ Chark was the biggest loss.
And you have, Ashlyn, a real decision with him after the season.
Yeah, you really do.
I don't know, is he going to perceive himself as a 1? Is he going to perceive himself as wanting to get paid? If I were him, I would. If I'm the team, I wonder. But if I'm the team, I don't want to let a good receiver walk out of the building. but there's money involved. That's why those guys down at the end of the hall, I don't know if you know this or not, Brian, but Trent Baalke makes more than me. So that's why he does. Yeah, because that's a tough decision. I can see both sides. Stop letting good players go.
Right.
But you also, if you don't believe this is the guy that's worth paying this, it's hard to keep that because you know what it does to your cap moving forward. So that's not an easy one.
Well,
No,
you've got
that's
Josh
tough.
Allen that needs to get paid here shortly. We've talked about the ability to keep Cam Robinson, a
Yeah.
good football
Yeah.
player. You won't be able to keep all of them.
Yeah, and then you look, would DJ take less money and perceive himself as a 2 when you see the injury and the
No.
what have you done with me lately?
Well, that
He
gets
shouldn't.
down to testing the market.
Yeah.
Once you test the market, they don't usually come back. So that's why you wind up overpaying your own guys.
Mm-hmm.
But this regime hasn't, DJ's had one good year. I believe he can be really, really good. I don't believe he's a 1 yet. This regime hasn't seen that from him, and it's tough to pay that. So I don't know.
That's why that injury was so critical at this point of the season.
To both sides.
Yeah. Never had the
Because
chance to prove it.
I think DJ, from what you feel, he would like to be here. I mean, he's,
Mm-hmm.
he's been involved. He's a good kid, likes Jacksonville. That's going to be fascinating in the offseason to see how that gets handled. Schlin.
Yeah, you hope he's here.
I'll direct the show now. Schlin, go
Yes.
ahead. All right.
Thank you very much. All right, my this or that is House of Horrors. Which one is it? Is it Nashville, where the Jaguars have not won since 2013? Or is it those West Coast games where they've been 3-13 overall? I'm just going from my experiences here with the Jaguars, starting with the team in 2017. I'm going, the House of Horror for me is Nashville. I remember countless times now standing on the field saying, start the plane, let's get home, this is going to get ugly. Whereas I go from the experience of being the Raiders in Oakland and you have that one win on the West Coast, but I want to hear from your guys' vast experience.
Well,
There's a few.
Yeah, I'll say the West Coast because if you go back and I do because I write the story for the web every week, featuring a historical matchup in the series. There were a lot of games where the Jaguars played the Titans very close in the 2000s and won some games there, 2004, 2005, 2007. I mean, there were plenty of opportunities. They weren't blown out until recently. The West Coast has been a disaster for them from the very beginning. They've won a couple of times in Oakland, and other than that, I'm struggling to find a competitive game that the Jaguars have played on the West Coast. I guess you could say maybe last year and against the Chargers for a while. I'll say the West Coast.
Yeah, the Titans thing, if you really look at Nashville, there were a few games at night on Thursday when Derrick Henry ran over everybody.
the commercial, it never goes away.
Yeah, there's been a couple like that, but really in the last 5 years, that has scarred people.
Yeah.
It's scarred Schlin. She obviously owns it.
Scarred young Schlin.
But in 17, they lost by 5 points up there.
Yeah.
Last year, they lost by 3. So it hasn't been where they haven't been competitive up there. Now, I do frankly worry about this game because this fits into it's December, it's cold.
Just like you saw last week with the Rams. Though.
You're
They're
out of it.
They're desperate.
Right. Well, they're desperate, and to me, the Titans are just going to – I know Derrick Henry's not there, but they still had 200-yard rushers against New England two weeks ago. They can run. They're going to run, they're going to run, they're going to run, and eventually the Jaguars are going to wear down. It's going to be, not that enticing to tackle in that weather, and you're going to see some long runs. That's what I worry about. Yeah. That could be this week, but overall, it has not been as much of a house of horrors as the West Coast overall for this franchise.
You're telling me it's going to be cold in Nashville this weekend?
It's going to be nippy.
I better get my beanie packed.
Well,
I was not
no, it's supposed
prepared
to be
for
in-
this.
It's supposed to be in the 30s. I mean, in the 30s and look at me, windy weather guy.
Oh, no. I'm not ready for that. I might have to stay home. And that is This or That, presented by Price.com. We come back on Jaguars Drive Time. Some hot takes on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Jags Drive Time is brought to you by TIAA Bank. Turn potential into progress. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
It's a fact. All cars will eventually break down. If you have CarShield, you can protect yourself from the high cost of auto repairs. And they're America's #1 auto protection company. Your transmission, engine, and car's computer system are all covered. Get the ultimate vehicle service protection. Call CarShield now at 800-471-1223. That's 800-471-1223.
Hi folks, Frank Frangie here to tell you where to find the most authentic Southern Pit barbecue in all of Jacksonville. That's right, Bono's. For 72 years, Bono's has been smoking real pit barbecue right here on the First Coast. Smoked for hours, served in minutes, and always cut to order. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field. Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you want great barbecue, head to Bono's today. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Over 30 communities to choose from with the best selection of move-in ready homes, quality, value, personalization. That's the Dream Finders Homes difference. Visit dreamfindershomes.com. We're back, Jaguars Drive Time. It is Wednesday. It is time for some hot takes, changing things up this week. And my hot take, I'm going to go first. The Jaguars coaching staff wants to see more of Carlos Hyde. And that is fine. I think the way this is being explained is not going well, obviously. It's a huge topic this week of the disarray we're seeing with James Robinson and the coaching staff. It seems very clear there is a level of distrust with that, and it's very clear that there needs to be a conversation had between the two of what is going on with that. But I think the main message hasn't changed with all of that drama we're seeing this week, and that is just Carlos Hyde is Urban Meyer's guy. He was brought in during free agency. He played for him at Ohio State, and it is clear the Jaguars want to get Carlos Hyde more involved. You hear in press conferences throughout the entire season that Coach Meyer says Carlos Hyde is a good running back, and he needs to get more touches. So is all this going on with James Robinson, and why isn't he getting more carries and the injury? And yes, there's a lot of confusion that I think needs to get cleared up, but I don't think it should be taken away that Carlos Hyde just needs to be proven why he's here from free agency. He just needs to get more touches. I think that's pretty clear. The Jaguars just want to get him more involved, and that's nothing against James Robinson.
Yeah, it's hard to actually know what's going on with that because it has been confusing.
Yes.
I thought the other day was odd in the sense that James Robinson left the game, and then they played Laviska Shenault in the next series. And clearly they wanted to get Laviska and see those touches. And then they had the drive where Carlos Hyde ran well, and they scored. And then they came back, and they didn't get the ball in the end zone, or they didn't get a first down the next series, and then it went back to where Robinson was the game and rotated. I don't know how much the Ohio State thing has to do with it. I think they came into the season wanting to rotate that position. I think they did for a while, and then J-Rob started getting more carries right before the bye. And then since then, I think there's been confusion, maybe understandably so, with how much to play J-Rob, how much he's hurt, how much he wants to play, where that goes. And I think that's caused some of the uproar that's going on in the fan base over this right now.
I don't want to say much because my hot take is about running backs, but I will say I'm okay with Carlos Hyde getting more carries because I think James Robinson needs to sit. Mm-hmm. He's got the knee in the heel. He's not practicing. I think he needs to sit. If he's a guy that you want to be a part of your program in 2022, I think you got to be very careful with him at the end of the year like this.
Well, then go ahead with your hot take, because I think that's the big question. Do you want him here or do you not?
Well, see, so as far as I'm concerned, this now becomes a position of need, okay, and one that you've got to address in 2022. Let's start with Travis Etienne. Etienne broke, he has the Liz Frank, right, injury on his foot.
Very complex, we've been told.
It is very complex. He is a change of direction, acceleration guy. That's what he did at Clemson. That's what they brought him in here to do. We had a guy like that in 2018. You may remember him, Corey Grant. A lot of people probably forgotten about him because he did the exact same thing to his foot in Kansas City, and we never saw him again. Now, I have no information about Travis's recovery, okay? I just know they're the same kind of player, and that injury is a serious injury to a running back. So at the very least, he's a guy you're going to be questioning how much to use him in August, right? And how many carries and how fast he is and how you bring him back. So there's a question mark. Then you've got James Robinson. Look, running backs have the shortest average career of any position in football. It's about 3.5 years. They bring the average down because they take a beating. This is a guy who doesn't run away from people. He pounds at people. Now all of a sudden he's got some nagging injuries, and it's a foot injury, right? Now maybe you say, well, it's just a heel. He'll be fine. Well, maybe. But I don't think you can go into next season and say, well, we've got Carlos Hyde and 2 guys with foot injuries. Okay, we're okay at running back. I think all of a sudden you need to look at the running back position with a completely clear lens and say, if there's a guy that we like, we're going to make a move on it. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can go in and stand pat with this group in 2022 based on the injuries.
Yeah, I agree in the long run. In the short run, James needs to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that was
when
clear
you
on
figure
Monday
that
that he
out.
didn't.
Yeah.
So I think that's imperative.
Yeah, I think if you figure that out and if you figure out, okay, James Robinson is your number 1 running back, okay, you move forward and maybe get a complimentary piece. If James Robinson doesn't want to be here or is unhappy here or there's some issues here, that changes everything. You got to go get that one then.
I like James Robinson, but I think he's limited.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the dynamic back that you'd like to see.
Mm-hmm. And we don't know what's going on with those injuries.
Yeah.
We don't know how crucial they are. So, yeah, a lot of questions. John, what do you got for us?
My hot take is...
Would you please write this down?
I already kind of discussed this. I think this is a pride game for the Jaguars because that's what's left to play for. History makes that part intriguing to me because they have gone up to Nashville in the past, late in the season when it's cold, and frankly to me didn't look like a team to play with a lot of pride. And the night games where Schlen's wanting to get on the
2016
plane.
stands out the most.
it
Those
was cold,
were
and I was
7
complaining.
and 18, 19, the same thing. So does this team want to play hard? Do they want to hit for 4 quarters? I think they want to hit for a quarter and a half. After that, it has gotten tough to do that in this stadium for this team in the past. I'd like to see a different look on Sunday.
Yes, you are very right. It goes back to the House of Horrors. It's happened a couple
It does
of years.
go back to the House of Horrors.
Yes, and the plane starting, and yes, not great memories. But let's change the course, shall we? That is Hot Takes. When we come back on Jaguars Drive Time, some closing thoughts coming up.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com. This season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink for football watching. Just look for 20-ounce Pepsi products in the cooler door at your local Gate convenience store and see how you could win an exclusive VIP experience at the Jacksonville Zoo and an opportunity to eat lunch with a Jaguars player. Eat with a big cat. Courtesy of Pepsi and Gate. No purchase necessary. Visit jaguars.com/zoo for official rules and details. Ends 12/31/21.
At VyStar Credit Union, you inspire us to deliver on our promise, to do good for our members and our communities. That's why we offer more banking options, like better rates and no hidden fees. We also give back, donating several $1 million to hundreds of nonprofits each year. Better financial lives, stronger communities. VyStar Credit Union. Do good. Bank better. Visit vystarcu.org/join. Insured by NCUA.
It is Wednesday. Coming up on Jaguars.com, we have head coach Urban Meyer at 11:30. You can watch that on Jaguars.com live. We have Trevor Lawrence this afternoon along with Josh Allen. And then you have the Huddle Up podcast with Bucky Brooks, John Oehser, and JP Shadrick this afternoon. We'll be right back here. Jaguars Drive Time tomorrow morning. We'll see you then.